Texas, and today, Josh Smith, Texas Ranger infielder and current third baseman, is going to join us from Baltimore. But before we do that, hey, we've got to remind you guys, hit that subscribe button down there. You also need to subscribe. You see what's below there. Rangers Today, $5.99 a month, $35 for 6 months, $60 for a year. Coverage from top to bottom of the Texas Rangers. You guys have helped this show become so much more successful. We've had some deals come up because of you guys. But get your friends to subscribe. It's free to subscribe to the YouTube channel and all of that, and listen to us on Odyssey. That our audio partner. This team is struggling, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. Are we experiencing the Bochy curse?
Yeah, he's won 4 World Series. The previous 3, the next year they did not make the playoffs. I think he had a second place team, a third place team, and a second place team. And really the 2011 team, I think, was in first place going into September and kind of just had and just petered out. But, look, winning a World Series is not easy. You play an extra month. You have a month less to recover and get ready for the next season because, you finish, and then by the time you normally would get going in the off season, you just finished playing. So there's a lot of things that are involved in where the Rangers are now. Injuries you can point to. You can point to the lack of rest and the extra month. But I mean, I just think that somewhere along the way, other teams have figured out how to pitch to the Rangers. There's just no other way. They keep saying, Bruce Bochy says it a lot. Nobody expected us to get shut down like this, and it's true. They're struggling to hit fastballs collectively as a team. Last year they murdered off-speed pitches. Apparently they weren't very good about. I had a conversation with a club official about this. They weren't good fastball hitting team last year, but they did it more than they're doing this year. And you can look at individuals and his bat speed's a little slower. I don't know. I don't know about any of that. Maybe it is fatigue. Maybe guys are playing through injuries. I think a lot of guys are feeling pressure to produce. I know Adolis Garcia, that was an issue that the Rangers are convinced is what caused his bad stretch. Looks like he's finally coming out of it.
Yeah.
But, this team is 7 games below 500 at the midway point, 81 games. And they're, I think, what did I write? 7.5 or 8 games behind the Mariners.
Right now they're 8. They're 37-44. They're 8 games back, 4-6 in their last 10, and they have lost 4 in a row.
And they're behind the Astros now, and significant
by a couple of games.
That gap is widening. They got to start winning ball games. That's the bottom line. The pitching has been good. Last night wasn't good. What was Wednesday? Wednesday with Eovaldi, that was a little surprising that he gave up 5, but he did go 7 innings. He gave them a chance to win. Last night, John Gray did not give them a chance to win. And then when you get into situations like that, you get to the back, the low leverage pitchers, Jonathan Hernandez and Brock Burke in this case last night, who both gave up home runs. You're not going to win those games, but you're not going to win games scoring 2 runs. It's just too hard to do that on a pitching staff. So,
love Josh Smith, but he's the best hitter on the team right now.
Yeah.
And when you've got Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, even Nathaniel Lowe, and you got Adolis Garcia, nothing against Smith, who's fantastic. But if that's your best hitter right now, that shows that there's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Smith can hit.
Yes. No. He's proven he can hit.
And he hit throughout the minors. He had to learn some things, I think. I think we'll probably ask him about it a little bit later here. But
ideally, Josh Smith, you would love to have that bat the way that's doing, batting 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's kind of the way your lineup's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Josh Smith's supposed to be down there anchoring the bottom of that lineup and getting it going.
It is interesting. Yeah. The Rangers came into the year thinking, hey, is Evan Carter you're going to be your leadoff hitter at some point? Well, why not Josh Smith? If you can find a way to keep he gets on base, he walks, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. I know Marcus Semien is the leadoff hitter, and Bruce Bochy's committed to that. But maybe Marcus is better suited in the middle of the lineup.
Maybe he should hit third.
With his power. He's aggressive. Anyway, there are issues, things that need to happen. There needs to be some shaking up here in the lineup, and it needs to be more than sending Ezekiel Duran to AAA. You know, that move kind of caught me off guard. It makes some sense. You know,
they want to get him batting. I mean,
they want to get him going, but he's not going to play every day. So
he's not.
So he needs to learn how to do that.
I said when that happened, this is not that they think Davis Winsell, who I like and is a good ball player, is better than Ezekiel Duran. This is that they are more comfortable with Davis Winsell sitting over there not getting at bats than Ezekiel not getting at bats.
No, that's true.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, there's no question. So it's been a season-long problem. We're not just a month into the season anymore. We're halfway through the season,
right?
And
they just may not. They may be fatigued. The injuries have not helped.
Well, and Chris Young said on the last homestand, there's not any external help right now. The best lineup Texas Rangers have, or the best way to get themselves out of this lineup is for this lineup out of this slump is for this lineup to start hitting. And the talent's there, obviously. Josh Young is going to help, though. I think that he's going to be battling this wrist issue. It's not an issue. I mean, it's a dadgum broken arm, but now that it's stabilized and not fractured anymore, it's sore, it's stiff. He's got a plate in his wrist, and anyway, it may be something he's gonna have to get used to. And
he came back to Texas, right? Or
he went to Arizona. He's back with the team now. Arizona is where his surgeon is.
Right.
He was there. He rejoined the team quickly, and he's probably going to start hitting again this weekend. He could be activated next week, unless they want to send him back out
for another rehab.
But Josh Young is not going to, he's going to help tremendously. We've talked about it before, but anybody who thinks that he's going to come in and hit 10 home runs in the first 2 weeks of the season, and all of a sudden the Rangers are going to win 14 in a row, it's not going to happen. You got to temper your expectations. He may be great, but he may not be very good. So, but getting him back is going to be a big part of the puzzle as this team approaches the All-Star break and then approaches the trade deadline.
We got to talk about trade deadline. We've said we thought they were going to add forever, but I don't know that happens now. Maybe they do have some pieces they can move to, just to shore up some more of the minor league system. I mean, Michael Lorenzen he's a free agent at the end of the year. This is a guy that somebody could use if the Rangers feel like, look, we've got the guys here that could still pull us out of this, and we could probably do it without Michael Lorenzen. Or maybe there's someone maybe someone needs another bat, and they decide to move off of what's his name? God dang, I went blank. Sorry. Who they traded for and just got in here. What happened to me?
Robbie Grossman?
Grossman, yeah.
Okay.
And that might be somebody that somebody wants. You're not going to get a lot for Grossman, but, maybe someone could use that, and you decide you're just going to go.
You gave up a hard-throwing reliever for Grossman, so maybe you can get one back. But I think your point is well taken. At some point, the Rangers have to determine if they're going to contend or not. And by the end of July, if they're, you need to look at the wild card standings as well as the division standings. Although it looks like at this point, the AL West is only going to produce the division winner for the postseason. Although the Astros are playing better, but the Central's good. The East has obviously some good teams, or Yankees and Orioles are playoff bound, it would appear, and then the Central, you have the Guardians, who are a really nice story, a really good story.
Right.
And then I'm trying to fight off a sneeze here, John.
I can see. I know exactly that look.
So start talking.
Yes. Well,
there we go. I'm good.
Yeah.
So you have the Guardians, the Royals, the Twins, potential playoff teams, and then the three teams in the West. I don't know that there's a room for a second playoff team. And so, those are all things you got to, and then you got to think, well, okay, we're 5.5 back in the wild card, but we have 7 teams, or we have 4 teams ahead of us. It's a lot of ground to make up. So all of these things are going to come into the decision-making process. And There are guys on expiring contracts. Grossman, Lorenzen, who you mentioned also. Honestly, you have Max Scherzer, you have David Robertson, you have Kirby Yates. Now, if you want to make a bigger deal, John Gray is under control for next year. A team looking ahead might want to strike a deal for a pitcher who could come in and be in a rotation and be in a winning rotation. Yeah, John Gray was part of a rotation that helped a team win the World Series. I mean that, and $14 million is pretty affordable for a team. So yeah, Andrew Heaney is done after this year, or can be a free agent. So if it gets to that point, there might be a sell off. You look at what the Mets did last year, where the Mets built themselves this giant payroll, and Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer and David Robertson. They thought they were going to contend and tried to knock off the Mets and the Braves and the Phillies. It didn't work out, and so they sold big. And
if the Rangers sold, I think their free agency this coming into this next year would be again kind of like the last 2 years before this offseason. I think they would go spend money. I think they would target some big free agents that they would bring back in here, because I think Ray Davis, I don't care what anyone says, Ray Davis wants to win another World Series.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to spend money. Right now, though, you can't be stupid. You've got to see what you got, see if this is going to play. And since you're scuttling, you don't want to try to go out and give away your farm for somebody unless that somebody that comes back is here next year for sure.
Yeah, and that's
no rental players. They're not going to get any rental players this year.
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
And it's you can go back to 2015 and you can look at the Cliff Lee trade when the Rangers made it.
Yep, they were out. They were out.
They were 7 games back, I think it was. But that move had an eye on 2016.
Sure.
So you could see some moves like that being made, where you get controllable pieces back. I mean,
you mean the Cole Hamels?
God damn,
Cole Hamels.
Damn Phillies trades, but
yeah.
Cole Hamels was under contract for 2 more seasons, right. I think, or maybe 2 more, because they traded him in 18. So it was 3 more. So yeah, you could do something like that. You could see something like that. A lot of money is coming off the payroll next year, which has been a concern, obviously, when they're building this roster and the luxury tax and all that stuff.
The luxury tax is going to go up.
It will go up, and so there'll be a little more wiggle room, but they've been over it in the last 2 years a little bit. So they don't want to go into that next tier where you start losing draft picks and things. So I don't know. It's a mess right now. We didn't expect that we would be having this conversation.
No. And they can always pull themselves out of this. That is obvious. That can happen. But I think at this point, this is what I see. I don't know if they can pull it all the way out, but what you really want to see is when this team goes down the stretch and people start coming back healthy, you want to see that team that just goes on a run and gets up above 500. And by the end of the year, you're going, okay, that's what we expected to see all year. And then that lineup starts going. That really gives you confidence going back into next year, because this is a lineup and a team that should be contending for the AL West. They're underperforming. They're injured, but they're underperforming. That's part of it. Yes, injuries happen, and Josh Young is a big bad out of the lineup. They're underperforming. And they need to get everything, and every once in a while, all of a sudden it clicks. Everything gets going again. And once you get on a run, you're not going to win 15 in a row, although teams can do that. You got to win 4 out of 5 a few times in a row. You got to start winning 3 out of 4, and then, a few times in a row.
You got to mix in a sweep. You got to, you got to.
Right.
You got
to win series.
You can't just be happy winning 2 out of 3. I mean, you
need to do
obviously
sweeps.
You need to win more than you lose, but you got to.
Right.
You need sweeps, and it's possible. This team could rattle off a great July, and
they could win 7 in a row and be at 500.
Yeah, and conversely, the Twins or the Royals or the Guardians could start wetting the bed, and those teams could come back a little bit, so that when you get to the trade deadline, if you're let's say the maximum number is 5 games, if you're 5 games and there's 3 teams that are right there, you might take your chances. Not huge chances, but again, you just got to get into the tournament. The Rangers did not win the division last year.
Nobody.
And they won the World Series.
Yep.
The Diamondbacks did not win the division.
The
And
way
they
they
went to the World
finished in
Series.
Seattle, I thought they were going to go to Tampa Bay and get swept. That's just the way they were playing.
You just got to get in it,
Yep.
and then anything can happen. So,
Right. So
anyway, well,
Josh Young, you said next week, bro.
well,
He's back with
we
the
thought
team.
it would be this week, and
What was the deal? They said tendonitis.
well, I think that's just their way to say soreness. I think he just came back. He's been working hard to come back, and the wrist hadn't been
He's going to DH it first.
built up. Well, sure, but
Yeah.
anyway, the point is they built up, and the wrist kind of barked back a little bit. There's no structural damage. Everything was the visit to the specialist and
I think I saw last night.
Scottsdale. Everything was okay. It's just he's gonna have to play through some pain.
I think I saw last night where the Twins shortstop got nailed.
Carlos Correa.
Correa,
He did not break anything apparently, according to X-rays. He's on my fantasy team, so I've got to keep an eye on that. My resurgent fantasy team. This is a big money league. I don't spend any money, but it's finally time. My fantasy team, for the first time, I've been in this league, no shit, almost 30 years, and I've never won it. And I've only finished in the money like twice. I usually get so busy that I just forget because baseball, you got to keep fantasy baseball. You got to keep
daily.
up. It's not fantasy football.
Well, you got all week to decide it and then put it together.
Yeah, you've got to work at this. And now that I'm in contention, I feel good about it. And I'm
going to make some deadline trades.
I'm going to have to make some moves at the deadline. I don't know what for though. I've got a lot of injured starters. I'm coming back. I'm waiting on these injured starters to come back. I have the best offense in the league. I've got Bobby Witt, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. Years of finishing last. I'm kind of like that the team, the Astros. You've horrible for years and years. You finally get these good draft picks, and they start to come through. So anyway, we really went off on a tangent there, but.
Do we need to do a safe at home segment?
We do need to do a safe at home segment, which is brought to you by our good friends at One Rangers Way.
There's no homestand to have a best player from.
We can still go off the last homestand.
Sure.
And I think we all agree that the player of the last homestand on the Rangers side was Wyatt Langford, who had several. He hit a grand slam. He had his first 2 over the fence home runs. The grand slam was a cool moment for him and for the Rangers. They really needed it at that time. And, but he looks like he is figuring things out. The road trip hasn't been as good, but, that just means, hey, he's comfortable and safe at home, and you can be safe at home with One Rangers Way. Live like a champion at One Rangers Way at onerangersway.com. They are now, leasing. Their plan is to open house in January of 2025. You can go to their model at Texas Live.
Right? Yeah.
And the leasing office is up there in the old Choctaw Stadium. Scott and Nicole are our good friends, so check them out. Tell them you heard about us at One Rangers Way and or at Rangers Day Baseball Podcast, and go check them out. They're good people, and I mean these apartments are going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
and they are right down the street from the ballpark.
And we are lucky. They are going to invite us over there to check them out once they're done. So we probably are going to get one day. We're going to get over there and see the amenities.